to try and make music that's fire, spit my soul through the wire. Yeah, say hell yeah.
What's Kanye West's most triumphant, career-defining moment? Was it his very first Grammys night when he took home 3 awards? When he posed as Jesus on the cover of Rolling Stone? When he beat 50 Cent to the top of the album charts and killed gangsta rap? The viral Bound 2 music video? Performing N-words in Paris 11 times in a row? The Runaway short film? Or even when he interrupted Taylor Swift's VMA acceptance?
No, Dad, everyone's sick of that memory.
We each have a favorite, but the moment that kickstarted West's career and set the tone for his public persona was actually the one that not only almost ended his career, but his life. In pop culture's most infamous crash of the early 2000s, not that crash. In pop culture's most second infamous crash of the early 2000s, Kanye West nearly lost his life, but gained an impetus for the song that brought him into the public consciousness. While we are blessed today to simply exist in Kanye's world, things were very different in the early 2000s when an unknown West felt boxed in by society and the expectations put upon him. A 20-year-old West dropped out of Chicago State University in 1997 to focus on music production, much to the disappointment of his mother, who was a professor there. West struggled for a few years, working with several local rap outfits in Chicago, and eventually producing a few songs for mainstream rap acts such as Foxy Brown, Goody Mob, and Maze's supergroup Harlem World. His big break, however, came in 2001 when he produced 5 tracks on Jay-Z's The Blueprint, an album heralded as both a magnum opus for Jay-Z and a breakthrough for West. West's contributions, which relied heavily on sampling classic soul songs, proved massively influential on hip-hop, which had begun to shy away from sampling in the 1990s due to its financial and legal implications. Keep these implications in mind, as they're very important in this story. By 2002, Kanye West had shifted the course of hip-hop and popular music as a whole, but was still virtually unknown outside of the music industry and hardcore hip-hop heads. West had a strong desire to become a rapper, but virtually no labels were interested in signing him as an artist. Despite producing hits for Jay-Z, Cam'ron, Ludacris, and Alicia Keys, there was little industry interest in seeing West front and center as an artist, partially due to his suburban background and non-gangsta image. Yet again, West found himself boxed in by the expectations of those around him. He later expressed his frustration on his track, 2 Words.
Go get his rhyme like should've been signed twice.
In October 2002, after meetings with Def Jam, Arista, and Capitol Records, Jay-Z's label Rockefeller finally signed West, simply to keep his production talent in-house.
I can't say we were eager to sign him. We just wanted some hot beats at the time, be honest with you.
I want y'all to know that I'm the newest member of the Rockefeller team.
Since being signed to a record label is no guarantee that an artist's music will be released to the public, however, this was far from a vote of confidence. 2 weeks later, on October 23, 2002, West stayed late in the studio producing music for the likes of Beanie Sigel, the Black Eyed Peas, and Petey Crack. After leaving the studio late at night, an exhausted West fell asleep behind the wheel of his Lexus and nearly died after colliding with oncoming traffic. West was rushed to Cedars-Sinai and underwent reconstructive surgery on his jaw, which was broken in 3 places. He described his pain in the following days as the worst of his life, and even his own mother couldn't recognize him. This brush with death was life-changing for the perfectionist West, who was less worried about his own well-being than the quality of his music. Concerned that the music he had produced the night of the accident was subpar, and that he had almost left behind a subpar legacy, Kanye West wrote and recorded a new song just 2 weeks after the accident. Wrapped with his jaw still wired shut, it was appropriately titled Through the Wire. West later told Ebony magazine that working on music became his medicine, and it was the only thing that could distract him from the pain. From the very first moment of Through the Wire, the sample is obvious. West sampled Chaka Khan's Through the Fire, a 1985 single that peaked at number 60 on the Hot 100 and number 15 on the R&B charts. West had already been developing his soul sampling technique, famously sampling the Jackson 5's I Want You Back on Jay-Z's Izzo, Hova.
H to the Izzo, V to the Izzy. For
shizzle, my nizzle.
But things were different on this song. Instead of just a few notes of the sample song's original vocals, West left Khan's vocals front and center in the new song, basically leaving Khan as a backing vocalist during the verses and hook. Khan's vocals were pitched up 4 semitones into what would become Kanye's signature production style, later called Chipmunk Soul.
I spit it through the wire, man.
He also incorporated drums from the remix of Outkast's Players Ball. West's best technique, however, may be his cocksure rapping. IGN's Spence D noted that Through the Wire sees Kanye affecting a Snoop meets Hova flow. This is a sign that he was still finding his footing as a rapper, but the confidence shines through regardless. After years of being relegated to second fiddle, West shows that he's ready for the spotlight with bold lyrics and a triumphant attitude. West plays the classic American dream by telling his underdog story, but incorporates the boastful lyrics that make so many rappers seem larger than life.
I swear this right here, history in the making, man.
And as with all of Kanye's best work, the lyrics are sometimes poignant,
And he explained the story about how blacks came from glory.
sometimes funny,
I look like Tom Cruise on Vanilla Sky.
but always razor sharp.
But I'm a champion, so I turn tragedy to triumph. Make music that's fire, spit my soul through the wire.
Despite the raw power of Through the Wire, Rockefeller Records was still not convinced that West was a commercially viable artist. As is the conventional rite of passage for hip-hop artists who aren't known by the mainstream, Through the Wire was first released on a free mixtape instead of a commercially available album. Get Well Soon, released in December 2002, is a 36-track project that is basically a sampler of all of Kanye's offerings, including songs he produced for other artists, original songs like Through the Wire, and snippets of work he'd later release in full, such as the track Jesus Walks. On the mend, but with virtually no support from his label, West and his collaborators took marketing into their own hands, bringing the mixtape to every radio station and nightclub that they possibly could. West was so confident in his work that he shelled out $40,000 of his own money to finance a music video. Deciding not to have a stereotypical rap video with a bunch of models, directors Coodie and Chike worked through Kanye's vision of telling the story of his recovery through Polaroids and documentary footage, assembling an entire miniature layout for the music video beforehand.
Realized that just the best way to do it is to build the board, take a picture of it, and then have it scanned in, and that's how we did the movement through.
After the video's completion, West held a release party at Jay-Z's nightclub 4040. Because of the Rockefeller label's inefficacy at promoting West as an artist, label execs were surprised to find they'd been invited to one of their own artist premieres by the artist himself at the same time as the press. After West went on what would later become known as a classic Kanye tirade about his struggles to promote the song,
I don't know if you know this, but my album keeps on getting pushed back.
the video was played and the crowd loved it, realizing that Kanye West was not a man to be underestimated. Rockefeller head Dame Dash was impressed, saying he was proud of Kanye for doing what he had to do when no one was listening to him. Finally understanding West's worth, the label implemented some fine-tuning on Through the Wire before it was released commercially. Aside from subtle remixing and some slight lyrical changes, the verses were completely re-recorded by an unwired West. On paper, this sounds like it would dilute the power of him rapping just after his accident, but in reality, it just sounds a whole lot better.
My mama give her light support when you're telling her son on life support. And just show my mom give her light support, telling her son's on life support.
So we finally got the right beat, fire verses, and a hype video to match. With the label behind the project, Kanye's finally on easy street, right? Unfortunately, we're forgetting about one person. To release a song commercially, Rockefeller Records needed a clearance on the sample taken from Chaka Khan's Through the Fire that she was just not willing to give, apparently uninspired by the story of her fellow Chicago native's accident and recovery. Hoping that the music video could see the light of day, Kanye invited Khan's son Damien to a Sunday barbecue at director Coodie's house. Kanye West was there, John Legend was there, it was super casual. After seeing it, Damien took the video home and convinced his mother to clear the sample. Once again, a little spontaneous, creative hustle saves the day. Almost a year after the accident, Through the Wire was finally commercially released on September 30th, 2003. Even though the label was finally behind him, West didn't stop hustling this song either. He performed the song on a variety of TV shows with guests like John Legend and Miri Ben-Ari, and eventually live at the 2004 MTV VMAs with Chaka Khan herself. Critics loved the song, praising West's versatility. Pitchfork called the song chock full of clever. The song debuted on the Hot 100 in November 2003 at number 94, ultimately peaking at number 15 the following February. Kanye's dry spell was over and a deluge had begun. His follow-up single, a collaboration with Twista and Jamie Foxx titled Slow Jams, peaked atop the Hot 100 the very same month. And Kanye wasn't done there either. After the song's mainstream success, his freestyle remix evoking Lil Jon circulated on bootleg mixtapes.
To the wire. The Rock is in the building right now.
Slow Jams may have been the bigger hit, but Through the Wire has had a much larger long-tail success. 15 years after its release, Through the Wire finally achieved a platinum certification from the Recording Industry Association of America, while Slow Jams remains uncertified in the United States. Through the Wire was nominated for Best Rap Solo Performance at the 2005 Grammys, but lost to Kanye's mentor Jay-Z for 99 Problems. That's not to say the night was a failure, however, as West still had 9 other nominations and 3 wins that night. Bolstered by the success of singles Through the Wire and Slow Jams, his debut album, The College Dropout, sold 2 million copies in just 5 months, and he took home the Grammy for Best Rap Album at that same ceremony.
Everybody want to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
And that was just 2005. 15 years later, it's nigh impossible to go a day without hearing about Kanye, hearing one of his songs, or hearing a song that was influenced by his artistry. The song also carries a strange he said, she said legacy in terms of the sample clearance. In 2019, Chaka Khan told Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live that she thought Through the Wire was stupid and that she didn't know her vocals would be pitched up, despite having called the sampling clever in the past and even performing it live with West.
I'm not insulting. I thought it was stupid.
Right.
While I have nothing but respect for the Queen of Funk, if she didn't listen to the song before clearing the sample, that's on her. The song is, of course, a touchstone in rap's first mainstream renaissance and was named in the Pitchfork 500 Greatest Songs of All Time book, noting that no moment in West's career felt as earned as Through the Wire. Oh yeah, and what about the driver West hit? Reportedly, Miguel Villasana was badly injured in the accident, but settled with West out of court. Regardless of what you think about his politics or his public image, Through the Wire is one of many examples of Kanye's musical genius. Despite later proclaiming himself a god on Yeezus, Through the Wire shows us the Kanye that was an everyman and an underdog. Dissect podcast host Cole Kushner compared The Wire holding Kanye's jaw shut to the world trying to box him in. And boy does America love the story of an underdog overcoming insurmountable odds through sheer passion and determination. Through the Wire made Kanye West rap's Horatio Alger's story. Kanye had a lot of talent before the accident, already having created records like Hey Mama and Jesus Walks, but Kiambo Joshua, CEO of his management company, said he hadn't had enough life experiences to become the genius that he is today. The accident should have been the worst thing that ever happened to him, but it became the best thing that ever happened to him. God saved Kanye, then music saved Kanye, then Kanye blessed all of us.